Hey everyone, it's Jenna Melanson from Canadian Beats Media. I'm joined today by Manitoba-based singer-songwriter Shay Wolf for our newest segment of Zoomies. Welcome, Shay.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to meet you and happy to be here.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So first off, care to give a brief introduction to the listeners?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Shay Wolf. I am based in Winnipeg. I was born and raised in the prairies, and my music tends to really lean on haunting melodies. Um, there's always kind of a hint of sadness throughout my songs, but a glimmer of hope. At least I hope anyway.
Awesome. So you've unveiled your debut EP, Stay. Tell us a bit about the writing process behind the release.
It's it's so special. I think every artist, the fact that this day has come is kind of surreal to me. And the EP as a whole encompasses the journey that I've taken this far. It features songs that have explored thoughts or feelings that I've had, and as an artist, and I think a lot of artists have this kind of depth of emotion, myself especially. So it explores that, and also kind of how I've interacted with other people in my world. I often say that it's a balance of opposites. And so the EP represents me kind of, and this feeling of longing, the idea of stay, it's like this longing and this is hope that something will stay. And for me, I've always been a dreamer. I've kind of been chasing ideas and things, and um ultimately it's kind of a realization that sometimes it's the here and now that is the most important. And I was lucky enough to work with well-known Winnipeg producer John Paul Peters, which brought a lot of life to the EP, and I'm just so happy about it.
So you will be playing a show at Park Alleys on March 11th. What can people expect from your live performance?
Well, this show actually, so generally I play solo, and as a singer-songwriter, it's me, my voice, and my piano, which tends to be very raw and vulnerable, which I actually love. It's kind of like a happy place for me where I get to connect with the audience, on a really real level. So part of that show will be me playing solo, and part of it I actually play with the band, and I'll play through the entire EP. And it's just so fun. You get lost in the sound. We've got upright bass, we've got ringing guitar, we've got some really beautiful percussion, and it's kind of ambient and visceral, and then my melodies kind of just soar above everything, and it's kind of like heaven for me.
That sounds great. So if you had to choose just one song from the EP for a new listener to hear, which would you choose?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. Oh, well, I mean, the title track "Stay" comes to mind because, well, it's the title track, and like I mentioned, it's about this longing. And actually, I wrote that song on a road trip to BC on the ukulele, which is very different from how a lot of my songs start. And it's one of those songs that I didn't know at the time, what I was really inspired by. It just kind of came rushing out, and the melody. But it was years later that I reflected back, and I'm like, oh, I was processing something in that time, and it kind of just reflects where I was at that time, and kind of has a common theme of that longing that I mentioned that is kind of throughout the other songs on the EP.
So now describe your sound in 5 words.
Ooh, ooh, these are like, okay. Um, sweet, vulnerable, expansive, dreamy, and sorrowful.
Now, the next 5 questions are just for fun. So, what was the first concert you ever attended?
So the first song I ever attended, or sorry, first concert I ever attended was Avril Lavigne. I was, I think, like 9 years old. I got a tie from my dad's closet, and it was like not like not like a nice, like, one of those big fat wide ties. Like it probably covered half my torso, but yeah, it was Avril Lavigne.
Okay. With springtime quickly approaching, what's your favorite thing about the springtime?
Uh, the sunlight and getting outside, here like today, for example, it's almost nearly -40 with the wind, and the need for less layers, the enjoyability of just being outside, and the life. There's so much I love about the spring.
It's true. It's one of the best. I love it.
There's like this energy, right? That comes, and sometimes I'm like, whoa, slow down. I can't keep this sustained, but I'm like, I'm so much energy. I can do so many things.
For sure. What's your go-to karaoke song?
So it kind of depends. This one depends on the time of day a little
Okay.
bit. If it's just a casual karaoke, I really love to do, and I actually do this in my live shows, is "You Ought to Know" by Alanis Morissette. If it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., then "Juicy" by Biggie Smalls comes out.
Okay. If you could collaborate with one fellow Canadian artist, who would you choose?
I've really kind of been following the work of Charlotte Cardin for a while, and I really admire her, how she's grown her career, and her music, and how she shows up as herself, and everything. So maybe her. I think I could learn a lot.
Yeah. And who was the first Canadian artist to catch your attention growing up?
I love this question. It is without a doubt, hands down, Shania Twain. I used to like plug in a microphone into my stereos in my house when I was like, I don't know, small. And I would just like belt out as like all the cassettes that we had. And the neighbors could hear us. Like I had it cranked. And so I'm still a Shania Twain fan.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for joining me for Zoomies. It's been great to learn about you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it's so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for making this space for artists like myself.